Fall is theoretically upon us. As you can see, I am in a tank top because it is 90 degrees outside, but theoretically, it's fall. Can you tell I'm frustrated about it? I feel like this is coming off really aggressive. Luckily, books can take us to cooler weather and cozier outfits, which is why today we're going to be talking about fall book recommendations and also fall book hopefuls. So the stuff that I want to read this fall. I already know there's no way I can read the full list, but that's why they're called hopefuls. So my first book recommendations for fall are more of a dark academia vibe. Any Dan Brown books are going to give you that perfect dark academia vibe. It's all like art history, museums, and like mystery. It's perfect for fall. His most famous book is The Da Vinci Code, followed by Angels and Demons, and then probably Inferno. That is also the order that I liked them in. They're standalones, but they all follow the same professor. Next is scary books. I don't read horror, but I accidentally read a horror book one time, and that's the one that I recommend. If you want something a little scary, I would recommend the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I feel that I started reading this and then I was caught off guard because I am used to Twilight. Vampires I enjoy. Vampires who are benevolent. The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, it has vampire stuff in it, and then it also has very like complicated character relationships. It's set, I think, in the 1950s, and it has a bunch of, like, a group of housewives are sort of the main character. And we specifically have one woman who we follow, watching her trying to balance like this new kind of attractive stranger who's come to town with her husband, who I personally do not like very much at all, her children, her life. There's lots of points of tension in this story, and I really enjoyed it. It's just when we got to some of the parts that are a little more scary, I was just like not prepared because I didn't know it was a horror book. So keep that in mind. Next up is a book so scary that I had to stop reading it, but I know it's good. The Stand by Stephen King. So I read his book on writing because I know that he's a really good writer, and I loved that book, and it made me want to read his work so bad, but I am a scaredy cat. And so I started with The Stand because the idea of reading it, absolutely not. So I started The Stand, and it was really good, and the writing style was great. Like, he's as good of a writer as I was hoping he would be. And I was really enjoying it, but if you know anything about The Stand, it's about the flu basically turning into this mega flu that starts to kill people, and then as I was reading it, I got the flu. I could no longer continue. And since then I haven't had the guts to pick it back up, but I know it's good because I got far enough into it to like be able to tell that it was going to be a good book. Maybe one day I'll be strong enough, but I feel like for the people who are really into Halloween and horror, The Stand is thick, but I feel like it would be a very good story. Any fall vibes, I'm gonna come back to Twilight. So on the very off chance that you haven't read Twilight, it's the Hoa Hoa vibes. And if you haven't read Midnight Sun, this is a perfect time to pick it up. That is Twilight from Edward's perspective. It was released in 2020. And then also, for me personally, fall is sort of like my new year. Something that I like to do every year is in November, I start to figure out what habits or schedules or whatever it is that I want to implement into the next year, and I start figuring it out, like figuring out when certain activities fit into my schedule. Like if I want to do an extra workout or a different ballet class or something like that, I'll start to figure out when it works best in my schedule and just like trial and error that stuff. It's a great time to start collecting healthy recipes if, like me, every single year you decide you're going to eat healthier. 2025 could be our year. So while I don't like calling them self-help books, if there's something you want to accomplish in the next year, or you kind of want to start getting that motivation and figuring out where different goals and habits and stuff fit into your life, I would highly recommend checking out the 12-week year. I did a 12-week year for my book covers business that I started, and it's really helpful in just like kind of pushing you to stay on task. It's not easy, but it's pretty effective. So that's like the one that I recommend to people because it's the one that I've read. I'm reading, like The Principles of Highly Effective People. That one's good. And then also if you're an artist, I do recommend The War of Art, kind of like a play on the art of war. It's really about like what causes artists to procrastinate and self-sabotage and stuff like that. It's really short and it's really good, so if you're looking for something along those lines, I do highly recommend that one. Now on to fall books that I want to read. First is the Ex Hex. I have had this book forever. And I'm starting to see it pop up on Book Talk. It sounds really fun. It's about a young witch who places a hex on her ex. It sounds like it goes horribly wrong, and I'm guessing like they have to work together to undo it. I don't really read a lot of second chance romances. That's what this sounds like, so I really do want to get to this one. I want to read Bride. That one seems to be werewolfy romance. I've seen it all over the internet. People love it, so I want to hop on the train. I also want to read Manacled. It's been on my TBR forever. I feel like now is a good time to read it. To me, Harry Potter is almost more Christmas. This kind of sounds like a dark Harry Potter fan fiction, so I feel like Halloween time is a good time to be reading it. And then other than that, I just want all of the like cozy baking fall stories. Bakers and Magic, Legends and Lattes, Pumpkin Spice Cafe. I honestly have no idea what that's about, but I have seen it so many times on my For You page. I assume I will like it. I am fairly easy to please, and I like popular books, so I did read that it is like Grumpy Sunshine, which is one of my favorites. And then I need to read this one. That Time I Got Drunk and Yeeted a Love Potion at a Werewolf. Okay, so I've been seeing this online a little bit, but I saw it first in a bookstore. And I was there to, I believe, buy Crescent City 3, which if you know, that was quite a hefty book and slightly hefty price tag. So I didn't pick it up, but I remember seeing the cover and seeing the title, and I was like, that is a fantastic story. Like, I can just tell. And so I really want to read that one. I feel like with the werewolf thing, again, very October-ish. I would love to hear from you. What is on your fall TBR? And do you have any fall book recommendations? Or just generally dark academia vibes? Because I feel like those are also applicable to like winter time, and I am kind of a slow reader, so the idea that I'll get to all of the books on this list is kind of ridiculous, but you know, maybe between the fall and winter seasons. If you've already read any of the books I mentioned, especially like the Yeeted a Potion one and Legends and Lattes, like if you've read those, let me know if you like them. I haven't really read a lot of cozy fantasy. I've done a lot of like Sarah J Maas, Cassandra Clare, like those type of fantasies, but I haven't done like the ones that are specifically made for like cozy feels. So I'm really excited to head into them. Please like this video if you liked it, click subscribe if you want to talk about more book stuff. My name's Caitlin, thanks for watching. Bye!